Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday. This is the Woo Report. The Woo Report, episode 234, titled Devils Fans Deserve More Local Media Coverage. Oh, yeah, we're going to be talking about that. That's something I'm very passionate about. I'm your host, Sam Woo, coming to you live from the bunker, the Primetime Radio Studios here in beautiful New Jersey. As we're streaming live on Facebook Live at Let's Go Devils Podcast, Twitter Live at Let's Go Devils Pod, YouTube Live, YouTube channel Let's Go Devils, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about this subject because let me tell you a reason why. We all complain about it. We might as well talk about it. Why the Devils just don't get any local media coverage from the local TV market, in the New York City metro area, from local papers or local digital conglomerates, if you want to call it that. Some of them a bunch of El Cheapos. Now, there was some improvement and all that kind of stuff, and I maybe should watch what I say. But I think Devils fans deserve more local media coverage. Of course, a lot of us get the coverage through the team itself, which is okay. It's coming from the team. You're in the know. If you go to NewJerseyDevils.com, NHL.com, Amanda Stein, Catherine Bogart, Chris Westcott, Sam Kassan. They do a great job. Sometimes Matt Lachlan, the voice of the Devils, and Chico Resch, good friend of the podcast. Both of them good friends of the podcast, along with Chris Westcott. We haven't had Catherine Bogart on or Amanda Stein. What do we do to get them on? I don't know. We try, but whatever. Okay, that's one piece of content coming from the team. Obviously, it's biased. It's not meant to be objective, so to speak, but it's reliable because it's coming from the team themselves. But what about the local newspapers or the local papers now, the local digital companies that cover the news? NJ.com, NorthJersey.com, traditionally Star Ledger and Bergen Record. Well, what happened to them? Well, Ryan Novozinski did come on the scene a couple months ago, giving the breaking news on quite a bit of things. But again, I don't want fans to just rely on one source. It needs to be a collective effort. If the team is going to ever get more Devils fans, it needs their local markets to actually cover the team. Now, the Bergen Record, NorthJersey.com, okay, they were totally on the New Jersey Devils bandwagon years ago. Tom Gallitti, writing for the Bergen Record, writing for the Fire and Ice blog, had a lot of information, but there was also Richer. Competition is good, folks. Competition is great. And I think the problem with the media coverage with the Devils is it's just only coming from the Devils like last season. Okay, Ryan Novozinski comes in. Well, I want to see more coming from Robert Aiken, who is a good friend of the podcast, who's been on, along with Ryan Novozinski. We want to see more content. And I'll tell you the reason why. I'm sitting here tonight, August 16th, 2022, thinking of something to talk about during the offseason, which is not very easy. other than there's just World Juniors going on, Luke Hughes, Peter Hauser. Okay, what do we talk about? And I realize, how come nobody else is doing this? Why is a Devils fan like myself going on live air on this live video podcast platform called the Let's Go Devils podcast? Why am I the only one having to think of this crap? And I'll tell you know what the problem is? A lot of these big media companies, their editors, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but the economics don't really work. The system doesn't work anymore. Nobody's willing to take the risk and provide better coverage from a local media market. There's budget cuts all the time. There's layoffs. Media is constantly changing. Why hasn't the local media markets, why haven't these companies evolved with the change? You know why? I guess they don't have enough guts or something. I don't know. Verge Tibb says, can't stand sports radio. Only time hockey's mentioned, it's the Rags. Yeah, you can even talk about WFAN. Remember when the Devils were on WFAN? 660 AM, 101.9 FM. You know, 660 AM, WFAN. Hey, it's Joe Beningo, 660 Sports. I only talk about the Rangers. In 94, we had a parade. The Devils fans, they just paraded in a parking lot because they have no fans. That's all you hear. The Devils are on the flagship station in New York called WFAN. They're on their airways, but somehow they get crapped on by their own flagship station for many years. And I don't think that's fair. And you know what? I think there needs to be better local media coverage. And also, just remember, yeah, I know the Devils have been bad for the last 10 years. I know the Devils have sucked. But let me tell you, folks, just remember who's covering the Devils this whole entire time. While some of these local media coverage, these local media companies are just kind of, I don't know, mailing it in, not even having a beat writer in the press box to ask good questions. We don't want just Ryan Novozinski to ask great questions, hard questions, keeping the team accountable. We want other outlets, notable outlets, aside from the traditional newspaper companies, digital companies, so to speak. I want local radio markets, maybe even podcasts. Maybe they should allow us in the press box. Although, I'll tell you the truth, I don't want to even go near there just because I know myself too well that I'd really ask the real hard questions where I probably get banned. Because I don't take crap from anybody. But that's not the point. This is not about poking at the Devils coaches or poking at the Devils players. This is asking real questions why the team's not doing well. What's wrong with their power play? I'm tired of the spin because I think the spin does the Devils no good. So what if there's a little controversy? So what if the hard questions are asked? The fans deserve it. The fans deserve answers sometimes. And I think better media coverage will do that. The problem is, and I'll go back to a lot of these local media companies, they'll say, well, the money's not there, Sam. Don't be so naive. The money's not there. No, the money is there. It's just you're not creative enough to figure it out. You're telling me that you can't sell ads on your website on your digital platforms. You can your salespeople can't sell ads, even on a podcast, of a team that's destined to be back in the mix. What, you need more eyeballs? Well, if you're not covering the team, you're not going to get any eyeballs. I don't get it, to be honest with you. Because here we are on the Let's Go Devils podcast and pucksandpitchforks.com. Nick Villano, pucksandpitchforks.com, gets over 5 million views, hits, whatever, last month. 5 million? Was it 5 million or 500,000? I think it was 500,000. It doesn't matter. That's a lot. A lot. But I think Nick Villano had 5 million last year, I believe. But forget about numbers, because you know I'm not a numbers guy. I'm an analytics guy. John Heaton would like to have more coverage here in Illinois, LOL. But you should get more coverage by following the local media. It's once things have gone digital, when you have a website, you've gone global. Zach Stevenson, could be worse, Sam. Up here in Canada, it's all about the Leafs, LGD. Well, you know what? The Devils need to do better. They need to start convincing the local media markets to start covering. Why aren't they doing that? Is it because they want to control the message with the team that they have? Do they want to have a monopoly on it? I don't know. But I miss the days of Tom Galiti and Rich Scher or Sherry Ross at the Daily News. I miss those days. And I think coverage needs to be better. A lot of these media companies, conglomerates, are just looking to get the local coverage, those high school sports, whatnot. Yeah, you have the high school sports, but you don't have the Devils? You know, I don't get it. I really don't get it, to be honest with you. I want to get your opinions. Facebook Live, I want to get your opinions. I want to get your opinions YouTube Live. How do you get more local coverage? Again, here on the podcast, we do this podcast every day. You're telling me that you can't write something up about the Devils? You can't write anything? You can't get a beat writer to write something 7 days a week? And I know this because we've been doing this since the pandemic started. 9.5 months without any Devils hockey. And what we were talking about, Devils hockey, when there was no Devils hockey going on. We figured it out. We're a bunch of Devils fans. We figured it out. We're a bunch of Devils fans at a bar figuring out. And this won't be the last time I'm talking about this subject. As you could tell, I'm pretty passionate about it. I just don't understand it. I don't understand some of these media companies, why they make the decisions they do. I don't know. But the Devils fans deserve more local media coverage. On a national scale, we used to complain it all the time. ESPN doesn't give us our due. Remember back in those days? Oh, the Devils just trapped. They're boring. Remember those days? But there's a reason why ESPN went back to hockey. You don't want to alienate some of your fan base, some of your readerships, some of your viewers, your listenership. You have to have adequate coverage. And no, I'm not talking about at 11:23 p.m. on the 11 o'clock news, just a little blurb. And the Devils won 3-2 over the Rangers. Jack Hughes scored 1 goal. No, I want in-depth analysis. Not just from the Devils themselves, but from a third-party observer who can give you better ideas. Andrew Gilbert says, Sam, the Devils never got much coverage, but the almost decade-long losing hasn't helped either. Steve Charters, there is no real home market for the Devils, and the demographics in New Jersey, New York area are not producing new hockey fans. Well, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, so to speak. If I don't know. I really don't know, Steve Charters. I think really I don't see any kind of grassroots effort coming from the team to try to promote themselves through other media outlets, only through themselves. I mean, I don't know. The good old days of Fire and Ice on Fire and Ice and NJ.com. Now we have a Twitter, I think, presence. You're trying to say, John Tanaka? Yeah, you make somewhat of a good point there. But aren't you yearning for analysis? Aren't you yearning for player movements? Or even when who's going to be the next play-by-play announcer? Now, luckily, we got Ryan Novozinski in, but I want to see more Ryan Novozinskis. I want to see more media outlets than just one. Don't know why this is such an issue. If you're a Jersey newspaper or Jersey-focused content, why aren't you focusing on the New Jersey Devils? Economics not there? Well, you need to do better. I think it's just laziness. That's what I think. I think it's laziness. And you know what? Maybe some of these companies, they don't get hockey. But does it really matter? I don't know. I don't know, folks. I've been just going on a tangent here because you know what? Steve Carter says Gannett just had a ton of layoffs. Well, I guess you're not getting the eyeballs, are you? I don't know. John Sumner says, I agree with you, Sam. Thankful for your podcast and all about the Jersey website along with pucks and pitchforks.com. I mean, yeah, those sites, full disclosure, I do the hockeybuzz.com thing, pucksandpitchforks.com thing. But I'm thinking to myself, seriously, tonight, I'm trying to figure out what to talk about. And you're looking around. I know it's the off season, and there hasn't been much written in the past couple days. John Heaton said, would think that there would have to be a strong demand for it. If no one's pushing for it, they won't make it a top priority. That's in anything, really. Yeah, I know. But I think what the issue with Devils fans are, there's a lot of majority of the Devils fans are just silent. And when they're silent, you just don't know. But I'm going to bring up this issue from time to time. Because you know what? I'm tired of the press conferences where it's only coming from maybe one or two people. It's the same old questions. I'm not being critical of the people asking questions. I'm just saying that there's just not enough competition here. Not enough buzz. You're not going to get a buzz by your own staff of the New Jersey Devils. You need to fill that room with media members. You need to get the local media members in that room asking questions and writing about your team or doing video podcasts like this or whatever. I don't want to be the only one doing live video podcasts. I want to see more of this on a digital level. I want to see good competition. Berg says, the public thirst for constant sports coverage. You think the only franchise in New Jersey would get some type of heat. You would think, and you know what, if you're going to call yourself a Jersey paper or Jersey digital whatever, like NJ.com or whatever, you better cover the Devils. You better cover the Devils. I mean, sometimes I see NJ.com, they put out a poll, is it Taylor ham or pork roll? Ha 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 ha. Okay, little clickbait. But I don't care about that. You better cover the Devils. Otherwise, I'm just going to not even recognize your media company. That you're for real. But I think there just needs to be more coverage. I don't know what the answer is, to be honest. I really don't. But I want to see more reporters in that locker room. I want to see more buzz, rumors, when rumor mills. Competition means that there's more information out there instead of just coming from one source. And sometimes it just sounds too rehearsed. I just don't get it. I'm not paid to figure it out because if I was, I'd be charging a lot of money. A lot of money. John Sumner asks on the YouTube Live, do you think a majority of the Devils fans are signed because they consist of primarily families? Well, I think a lot of families, look, New Jersey, the cost of living, let's be honest here, cost of living in New Jersey sucks. Taxes are high, highest in the nation, especially property taxes. To commute, the BS of traffic, you add all that kind of stuff up, your time is taken. That's the other thing. The entertainment dollar, the New Jersey Devils itself, have to fight for every single penny of your disposable income to get your dollars in their wallets, in their bank accounts. It's not easy, especially New Jersey is not an easy place to live. You got to be tough. You got to be Jersey tough. And we don't see that. We don't see that Jersey toughness at the pressers at all. New York City market, whoo! If Daniel Jones gets benched and Tyrod Taylor is starting next week, all of New York media will jump on it, the local media. But if Jack Hughes gets benched, he'll probably get maybe a sentence if you're lucky on any of the media outlets. And that's not good. That is not good. But I do think that the attendance at the arena is somewhat a reflection of, well, if you've got a family of 4 and 2 kids are actually playing ice hockey in season, it is very tough for that family of 4 to not only forget about the money, to make the time to go to the games. It's not easy. It definitely is. I mean, I want to know, are there any parents that listen to this podcast that have kids that are playing at a high school level, at a mites level? Ice time is hard to get. It really is. I mean, it's better than when I was a kid. Now there's more rinks, but the commitment level to ice hockey, I mean, just getting the equipment alone could cost you around $3,500 to $5,000, maybe more. I don't know. I haven't bought any equipment in years, but it takes a lot for a family in New Jersey to not only have the love of hockey and having their kids play, but also having season tickets and actually going to games. That's not easy to do, folks. But getting back to the topic here, the local media coverage needs to get better. There needs to be more. It needs to get better. And I think it's better for overall. And that's what I have to say tonight. That's all. But I will continue this subject in the future because I want to see something happen. I want to see NJ.com be like more than just one writer. It should be several. Wouldn't that be cool? They'll probably all laugh at me. Even the Bergen Record and Gannett. They'll probably all laugh at me. Yeah, this guy's smoking. He doesn't know anything. No, you know what? I think you just didn't do your jobs trying to figure out how to get the budget for it, how to get your returns. And you know what? If you can't sell ads on your website, shame on you. I don't think it's that hard. I think the system needs to change. John Sumner says, I love it, Sam. Please keep it. And Steve Carter says newspapers are nearly dead. Well, when I say newspapers, I'm not talking the actual newspapers of the olden days. I'm actually talking about digital companies, digital content companies. Okay, if they can send so many of these reporters to high school games, they can hire a reporter to go to all the New Jersey Devils games. And I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for. Well, I want to thank all those participating tonight on this fine Woo Report. Tomorrow, the State of the Fan address. Nick Villano, pucksandpitchforks.com, and I, the editor-in-chief, and I don't know who our guest is, but Friday night, folks, Friday night, I'm going to be away, but I'm going to get back to the studio, and I might have to do it remotely, but Friday night, listen up, Friday night, we have tentatively scheduled a good friend of the podcast to come on with Nick Villano on a special Friday night podcast. But we tentatively have scheduled from MSG Networks, Bryce Salvador, good friend of the podcast, coming on, giving us his insight. Now, Bryce Salvador, he's giving you the local media coverage because MSG Networks is a regional sports network. And voila. Rock Labosa says, Sam, let's do lunch sesh live from the Old Mill Tavern. You know what, Rob? We're going to have to do that. Just finding the time is, my time is very, very limited. Been very, very busy this summer, but we'll make the time. I actually want to go to Hobby's Deli. Or is it Hobies or Hobbies? I'll call it Hobbies. Lisa, she loves Bryce. Hello, Lisa. I haven't seen you in a while. But yeah, I would love to do it at Hobby's Deli. I think they're Mets fans as well. And also, yeah, I mean, you know what? If a bunch of Devils fans at a bar can make this much effort, again, to give you the coverage, Bergen Record, Star Ledger, whoever you are, NJ.com, NorthJersey.com, get your acts together. We want more coverage. But kudos to Rhino Wazinski and Robert Aitken for doing their best, but we need more money behind them. We need them to be more active. Joey Herrera says, I wish more guys on the team would be active on social media as well. That would also help. It would, Joey. But at the same time, I'd rather have them be focused on the ice than trolling the internet. Sometimes it can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes, if you remember that one that had a burner account, is it Tony D'Angelo? Now with the Flyers, that didn't work out too well, but okay. I get it. It would be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool to get some of the players on this podcast, the current players. It would be kind of cool to talk to Ryan Graves. But if we're going to get them on, I don't want the same old answers. I'm going to ask questions like, hey, Ryan, or hey, Dougie Hamilton, after you got hit with the puck, I mean, I'd ask hard questions, Anyway, that's enough for now. Thank you again. Thank you, all those tuning in. Keep it here at the Let's Go Devils podcast, the Let's Go Devils network, because we're going to have some good guests in the next couple days. I don't know who's on tomorrow, but I know Bryce Salvador is tentatively scheduled for Friday night. Tony makes a great point. Tony, as long as MSG and Comcast are still not settled, Devils are losing a lot of viewers in New Jersey. You know what? You're absolutely right. Just when I'm just about to close the podcast, you folks are always coming up with some good comments. Yeah, that needs to be settled. Okay, all the, Madison Square Garden networks, all the email blasts that I got all last year. Oh, you're paying that $7, you deserve a refund. Like all the mudslinging and all that kind of stuff. Get your acts together. We want more Devils coverage. We just want more Devils coverage. How freaking hard is it? Like, how hard is it? But you still have the Let's Go Devils podcast, pucksandpitchforks.com. You still have your other sites. And don't forget about them. Do not forget about them. Just remember, before I go, but just remember who your real friends are. The ones that were buying low right now when the Devils stock is low. But just remember when that stock skyrockets and they're a Stanley Cup contender. Just remember the folks that were there that got you through those bad times, through the pandemic, the heart of the pandemic, the stoppage, and all the BS. Just remember, because you deserve better coverage. Cindy says, get Chico to interview them on your show. Well, let me tell you, Chico is somewhere in Western Canada somewhere, having such a good time. I text him from time to time. Good man, great friend of the podcast. He went above and beyond to help the little guys out, and I just want all of you Devils fans to know that Chico Resch, he is for you, the Devils fan. He really is. After talking to him privately in the last 2 years, he is so for you, the little guy. And again, remember who your friends are. Who your friends are. Dropping the podcast at midnight for your morning and afternoon commute. We'll be back tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, for State of the Fan Address presented by pucksandpitchforks.com. Who will be our guest? I don't know, but Friday, Bryce Salvador in the Primetime Radio Studios. Till next time, this is the Woo Report. Let's go Devils.